Welcome to Ashley On, your one-stop podcast where we talk about health and wellness, spirituality, and all things new. Stick around as we delve deep into innovations to support a better world.
Hello and welcome to the show. Today's show is with Mare Cromwell. She's an award-winning author and Mother Gaia mystic and high-priestess. She's been mentored by Native American groups and is in contact with Mother Gaia. She's got a lot to share with us on what Mother Gaia is looking for from us. What does it mean that we're moving into a new earth, and how she communicates with Mother Gaia along the way, as well as with Mary Magdalene and other primarily feminine, divine feminine entities that she communicates with along her journey. It's a fantastic show. I think you'll find it very interesting. Thanks for joining. Hello, this episode is brought to you by Morrison Alley. Morrison Alley provides consulting focused around strategy, leadership, and team development, as well as AI implementations to streamline effectiveness or marketing solutions or app development, and then leadership development from our Fire and Rain leadership development team, focused on executive leadership experiences and experiential learning. Check it out, morrisonalley.com. Thanks. Hello, Mare Cromwell. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, I love that I'm here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I was mentioning it to you earlier. Your name came up in a recent interview on a podcast that I did with Neil Donald Walsh, and your work, with Mother Earth, and as some of the things that I've done, I want to talk to you about in the Mother Gaia mystic. What does the new earth mean? I'm just fascinated by to learn your input there for our audience, and then also want to talk to you about what's going on locally. I know that you're located there in the hurricane region in North Carolina, I believe, right? So we'll talk about that as well as we go. But just to dive in, if you could just give the audience maybe a little bit of background on yourself and talk about some of the work that you've done and the books that you've written.
Sure. It's really an honor to be here with you. To start off with, I am an internationally known Gaia mystic and high priestess. Mother Gaia told me that I need to refer to myself as a high priestess, first priestess and then high priestess over the years. And I consider myself a humble servant to Mother Gaia. I have surrendered like 150% to serve her, and it happened. I was diagnosed with cancer in late May of 2012. And prior to that, a few weeks prior to that, I had been asked by a gifted Algonquin man to join him in a ceremony for Gaia, because Gaia had requested this. They had been communicating, he and her worked together for years and years. She actually appeared to him on a trail one time as a column of wispy vapor. I mean, she really exists. She is our planetary caretaker. And so I knew I had to do that ceremony with that gifted Algonquin man. And right before we started the ceremony, he said, I'm going to be bringing Gaia's energy and consciousness into your energy body, but I don't know how you're going to disconnect. And at the time, I was freaking out about the cancer diagnosis, but I also knew whatever was going on I was meant to be there. And I said, look, I trust Mother. Whatever's meant to happen will happen. And right at the end of the ceremony, she started talking to me so clearly, like you're hearing me right now. And she said, if you surrender to me to the extent I will ask you to surrender, I will help you heal from the cancer without the doctors. And that's what happened over the next year and 4 or 5 months. And I could tell you so many stories, my car going 110 miles on full. 2 weeks after that ceremony, when Mother called me to the ocean to do more ceremony, to tell me she wanted to write this first book with her, and that was called Messages from Mother Earth Mother. And then a year and a half later, she said, you're not going to move to Washington State and work with this medicine woman. You're going to stay in Maryland in a house that was going into full foreclosure that I was renting from a friend, mind you. You're going to stay here in Maryland. You're going to write the Great Mother Bible. And I'm like, no, I don't think I'm going to write that one, Mother. That's too big of a title. And she said, you're the one. You're the one. All you need to do is listen. And so the conversation started pouring in January 2nd, 2014. And I was able to stay in that house. There's been so much magic and miracles. Mother is got my back. She's carrying me. It's getting more and more exciting as things get more intense on the planet, shall we say. And I'm working on
So,
another book with her called Gaia's Web of Love.
so are you hearing, because this is something that I'm extremely interested in this, right? For lots of different reasons, but uh, do you hear, how do you know that it's not your brain? Like I'm not diminishing it at all. Like it's just, how is it so different? Because I haven't had that experience, so I don't know how to relate to having, I have a
Yeah.
feeling or I have a thought, I have things come to me and it's like, yes, I should, and I know it's coming from somewhere else, but I don't know. I've never really heard another voice per se. Is it that literal?
Yeah, it really is literal. There are different ways she communicates with me. And I need to say up front, the only way I can do this work publicly is I've studied with Native American elders for 26 years, and several have confirmed my very close rapport with Mother. They can feel her. They can feel her energy in the words I put out from her. They can around me, they can feel her. One elder told me that my work's in the prophecies. Another elder told me that he called me the voice of Earth Mother, actually, which I don't usually talk about, but Mother's telling me you need to put that out there
Mhm.
because this is a humbling journey. But the way that it happens for me, and it's been, it's like a muscle, an intuitive muscle. And when Mother came booming through right at the end of that ceremony in early June 2012, it was so distinctly a different voice in my head. Now, prior to that, my first book's called If I Gave You God's Phone Number, and I interviewed Christians and Jews and atheists over 7 years back in the 90s. And that book, related to that book, was the first time I really heard booming voice because I was at my altar. It was 20,000, 2001. I was not working on the book. I kind of not figured out. It was overwhelming me how to put it together. And I was at my altar and this voice came through. We have brought you to this house. I just bought a house. I inherited some money. We have brought you to this house. It's time now for you to finish the book. Boom. you know, so the voices, I mean, plants talk to me now, stones talk to me. I work with nature spirits. Archangel Michael's talking to me a lot these days. I can feel the different energies and know, and I dowse. I dowse with my fingers. I'm like, okay, are you Michael? Yeah, okay, Michael, cool. And I can tell it's a slightly different energy signature. Um, I think we all have the capacity to be mystics, and it's a
Mhm.
question of stilling your mind. And I will say this because Mary Magdalene actually came to me on the spirit plane, did a ceremony with me when I was healing from cancer again. I got cancer again in 2020. Uh, it's an adventure. Mary Magdalene came to me a couple times. She came in more recently, even, but that time she asked me to put a message out because a lot of people thought they were working with her and they were working with imposters, spiritual imposters. And I'm like, you want me to put a message out about this? And she goes, yes. She gave me an initiation. I mean, I can describe everything that happened, but it's too long-winded here. But we need to filter if we're hearing voices. And I learned from my Native American teachers, you need to filter. The spirit realms are huge. So if you start hearing voices or automatic writing, there are things you can ask to say, like, are you of the Christ consciousness? Are you serving the highest good for Mother Gaia? And there are a couple things I'm not gonna, unless you want me to go into that right now.
No, please do. Please do. I think this is
Oh,
important because I'm not thinking that
mm,
it goes back to what you touched on earlier. I'm not saying that all of us have the ability to be Mother Gaia, but I am saying and suggesting that all of us have the ability to tap into greater consciousnesses and our soul self, our greater self, whatever you may want to call it.
we're meant
Get
to.
guidance, our guardian angels.
Yes,
To me, it's literal guidance, literal voices, literal direction, is what I'm really most interested in at this part of the conversation with you, right? So please
sure,
share
sure.
anything around that you think people would be
Yeah. And honestly,
helped by.
we're meant to be able to listen on the spirit plane. When we really tap into our higher selves. But anyway, so my way of filtering is I work with a council on the spirit planes that Mother Gaia is a part of. It's a family of one. I ask if I hear a voice and I'm not sure who it is, or if I sense an energy coming in that I don't recognize, I have to immediately ask, are you in alignment with the Christ consciousness? Are you in alignment with the family of one in the universal planes? There's a whole story behind them, but that's another story. Are you serving the highest good for Mother Gaia and myself? And if they can't emphatically say yes, because I'm hearing them, they're talking to me. If there is no quick yes, 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 or full on yes, then I say you need to go, and I ask my spirit teams, escort them out now. They're not hanging out in my space.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that part of it, that may be, what scares a lot of people away from some of these conversations, right? Because they may not know,
Mm.
they may not know that very important detail that you just shared, which is, to qualify the motivations of the consciousness with which you're communicating.
And yes. And my response to that is, if they are afraid and they don't have someone they're working with really closely as a mentor who can help them discern, then it's wise they not try to do it. There are so many imposters on the spirit plane, like the spiritual beings who are pretending to be Mary Magdalene, and people couldn't discern that. And the question is,
Mhm.
how do I know it's Mary Magdalene? I mean, it's only because I have been working with some extraordinary mentors over the years, like a cosmic shaman and these Native American elders, that my radar is honed. And I actually hear, and I believe I'm at the point now where it's like Mother saying, check that one out. Okay. That one
Mhm.
just came in, check that one out, as opposed to, honestly, Ashley, at this point in my life, I'm like a walking crystal rod. I reverberate to everything and anything, and I'm always working to like keep my channel really clear and
Mhm.
stay in my heart and do my spiritual work from a place of humility, humility, humility every day.
So what does it what does Mother Gaia need from us? Like I mean,
Oh.
obvious, you know, and how is she
Our
helping us
love.
to and how is she helping us to give that, right?
She's calling us home. First of all, step number one is know that she exists. The archangels exist. A lot of people believe in the Virgin Mary and the archangels, because that's what the Judeo-Christian or Christian culture.
Mhm.
And then Judaism has their own. Actually, I shouldn't even speak about Judaism. I was raised Catholic. She's calling us home. She is an incredibly powerful spiritual being who's our planetary caretaker. And we have gotten so off balance, off course with what humanity is supposed to be here on Earth. I'm getting up right now these days at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. I was up at 5:15 this morning, writing with Mother, listening to Mother to give me another message to put in this book, Gaia's Web of Love, that I'm working on. And the information that came through this morning, and I don't think it's any coincidence because there are no coincidences, has to do with your question, is why is Mother even calling us home? Why don't we even know that she is our foremost mother? How is it that we got so off track in our society that we are raping and pillaging the planet, not to mention raping women? Ecofeminism is a very real thing. The feminine, divine feminine embodied in Mother, and divine feminine embodied in Virgin Mary and Kuan Yin. I have a Kuan Yin statue right there. I work with all sorts of goddesses. Honestly, but Mother is the foremost one I've surrendered to serve. She's calling us back into balance. And frankly, these hurricanes like Hurricane Helene, which hit our area really hard, and floods in Europe, floods in Japan, earthquakes there, earthquakes over there. we're going through a huge cleansing right now because Mother is bringing things back into balance, but it's not just balance. Mother is bringing things into a place of alignment and harmony for the full birthing of our new earth. And in order to do that, the humans have not been waking up fast enough as far as coming back into alignment. We used to, thousands of years ago, we used to be.
So what is the new Earth? What's it
Well,
going to
the
be?
new
What
earth,
are we?
yeah, the new earth is already here in some ways, in the multidimensional planes, it's here. Um, the new earth, oh, okay, I'm asking Mother right now exactly how she wants me to word this because frankly, she's right here,
Mhm.
Uh, it is a way of being. It is a way of dancing with the energies in full alignment and in full connection sacredly with the nature spirits, the tree spirits. The we won't have the need to use fossil fuels. Energy will be sourced in really pure ways. People will be living, if we make it through, I believe some of us will, but there are Native American elders who say we have 2 generations, no, 2 decades actually, for humanity to turn things around with how we're living. Otherwise, we'll be bumped off. And Mother loves us. It's not punishment if we don't make it. It's just that we didn't wake up fast enough because there are all these entrenched resistance on the part of certain players or groups of players. But the new earth is, do you feel energy at all, Ashley?
I feel it when you were just talking about this. I'm feeling it. Yes, I do. I feel things. I don't hear things. I don't see things, but I feel presence quite often.
You're
I
clairsentient.
haven't learned to to determine if that presence is good or bad. And that's what's kind of bothered me is
Well,
I
your heart knows. Your heart knows.
yeah.
It come from our head. It's real hard. Heart knows. But what I want to do, the reason I'm asking if you feel energy, is Mother's nudging me right now to say, call it in so that you can feel it. And I've never done this, so we'll see what happens. But she's saying this can happen. So here we are. Oh, I am that I am, calling in the new earth energies that we are meant to feel at this time within this conversation. Mm. So my question to you is, what do you feel?
Gratitude.
Mm. My
I feel
heart, when
hope.
I
I
did
feel
that,
optimism,
yeah, beautiful.
hope.
Yeah, yeah. It went to my heart in a really big way. It was like my heart just started going. And people tell me I have a big heart anyway,
Well,
but
I'm concerned for our listeners who don't have this foundation. Like I just look at my own experiences and I try to relate back to, okay, if I was aware of something or if I wasn't aware of something, then there's a good chance someone else was or wasn't. Um, I was raised Methodist, going to church every Sunday and the fear of God and all this stuff and the nonsense that just made me completely rebel against it all because how could God ever be uh, mean or angry like my father or my grandparents or and that's not real, right? So it never made any sense to me.
yeah,
As
yeah.
I get older, I come back around and I've completely connected with the Christ consciousness, and I'm a I wouldn't say that I'm a
Mm,
Christian per se because I don't like classifications, but I do believe in the Christ consciousness and I follow that um,
mm-hmm.
quite extensively. But through that journey, I've experienced, Native American fire ceremonies and other things, some of the Jewish traditions, all kinds of things. And the Native American fire ceremonies really I feel that is the strongest
Mm-hmm.
relationship that I have to what you're talking about, and the feeling that
Mm,
that came through with the energies that you so graciously provided. It's
you can
reminding
thank
me of
mother.
that. Thank you, Mother.
You
And those
know,
fire ceremonies were often Mother was talked about, Mother was discussed, Mother was
yes,
honored. That was very much part of the ceremony, as was
yeah,
the water and the fire and the entire
yes, yeah.
experience.
So, I just organized a global grid of ceremonies and events on November 2nd called the Thousand Goddesses Gathering Global Tree Love Day. And for your listeners, for anybody around the world, one, know that Mother loves us hugely, hugely. It's beyond words, the love. And I know, I totally know, it's not just a theory, that if everyone knew this, we wouldn't have so much dysfunction in our society. Um, because the love of the Divine Mother in the form of the Virgin Mary or the Mother Gaia, they're different forms, but Mother Gaia is powerful, is so healing, for one. But two, go outside and sit with a tree and just sit there and still your mind. Trees are all over the world. It's hard to find a place where there isn't a tree unless you're in the middle of the Sahara, which I don't think a lot of people are going to be in if they're listening to the show.
Mm.
Just sit with the tree and open your heart and drop from your mind to your heart and know that that tree is very conscious of you there. And now I always say ask permission of the tree, because some trees are grumpy, believe it or not. And if you can't hear the tree, just see if you can experience any feeling. Like, are you feeling an inviting energy or a push away energy? And if it's push away, that's okay. Go to another tree. Um, the tree will bring you into their love field, and your energy body will merge with their energy body. And the more we do that, the more I do it, the more any of us do it, the more we start to realize we have this bond with this incredibly ancient being that's been on the planet millions of years, far before humans arrived, that we're one with. And that's where it can start for somebody.
Well, that's great, because I think a lot of people are, as evidenced by by our show and the growing numbers of folks that are tuning into these types of. I do all kinds of different types of shows, and the spirituality is the bucket as this falls into is by far what it seems like the audience is really going for. And I think it's because people
Mm,
are lost, they're yearning, they're searching.
hmm hmm
And at the end of the day, it's complex, right? When you're trying to figure it out through your head, there's all kinds of options to people that
Yeah.
and there's how can people figure this out through their heart? And I think that's good practical advice that you're giving. If there's anything else you could share along that, I think that would be
Yeah,
helpful
no,
too.
I will. Because we need to drop to our hearts, the monkey mind, the Western, Rolling Thunder, really well-known Native American healer, teacher who's passed, he called it civilization mind, like monkey mind. So
Mhm.
I have a friend who teaches this. His name is Danny Vader, and he has studied with some well-known Native American elders. He's actually Dutch. He taught me to visualize a chair in your heart and see yourself sitting in that chair, and then visualize, like you were talking about fire ceremony, visualize a fire that you're sitting in front of in your heart. And that fire is your soul body. Even as I'm saying this, I feel the energy shifting.
Mhm.
And make it as comfortable a chair as you want and just sit there and be in this place of really pure connection with your soul, because that's what's happened is a lot of us in our society have lost our connection, a pure connection even with our soul body, because of the cultural conditioning and the woundedness and the ancestral woundedness and I have been going through healing work, and I'm still going through healing work. It's ongoing. Layers of the onion, another layer of fear, another layer of,
Mhm.
trauma, feeling I'm not good enough, all that stuff. That our society, our Western society, has been so good for thousands of years of like imprinting in us and our very hearts and our soul bodies. So just visualize a chair in your heart and sitting there and there's this beautiful fire. And there's this connection there that is your sacred connection with your higher self, really. And from that place, you become more still. And then I take it to another place because I'm doing a lot with the womb heart. You know, for us women, this is a huge topic, actually. You should do a show on this or something. I can give you someone to talk to even.
We'll have you come back and do another one.
I'd be happy to. But our womb space within the feminine body, and men have it in their aura. You know, we're all one within our energy body and our physical body, but I'm getting kind of far afield here. But within our womb space is the center of our beingness. It's not the hara, it's different. And we women in the Western society have lost our connection to the most powerful sacred center within us and the voice there to tap into, which is part of our higher self. And so this is a huge call right now, and why a lot of women are focusing on the divine feminine, women's workshops. But it's a real commitment to, again, healing the layers of woundedness and sinking into, like, I have all these past lives of being raped and martyred and, you know, just awful, awful stuff. And I came into this earth walk, this incarnation, with a tremendous anger and fear toward men. And I'm not the only one. I'm sure that you run across some women who are angry and afraid of men, you know.
Reasonably
And
so, right? I mean,
yeah, you know, but at the same time, I know I've also been a man and done horrendous things to women. We've done it all, you know, so
right.
I can't be the victim.
You can't judge it.
I did that a bit. I can't judge it. I can only focus on healing it. And mothers help me tremendously because, you know, I have a free meditation on my website, Mother's Love Cord Meditation. You know, sync our energy to Mother's heart, connect with her heart, ask her to help us clear all the denser energies that are gotten stuck in the most sacred part of our body, you know, our womb space. So getting back to what I was just, oh, go ahead.
I was just
You
going to say,
go.
what is your everything that you're working on? I mean, what is your Native American? What do your Native American friends and mentors and elders do they? I mean, they're living during the same time as we are, but do they experience the same reality that we're experiencing?
Oh boy. That is a very good question. Well, I need to say, first off, I'm not working closely with any Native American elders at this time because I was told a couple years ago that Mother and I, it's like I go to Mother, you know.
Okay.
Having said that, I do get advice sometimes, and I do seek videos people are doing that are profoundly wise. But beyond that, there is an elder named Ilarian Mercuria, who's a Nungan, otherwise known as a Lucian. He is someone who I deeply, deeply respect and always learn from. And when an indigenous person has not lost the old ways and was born into this incarnation with the gifts wide open, they experience, and I'm kind of like this. I can't say I'm not Native American, although I have been in past lives. I have memories of, like, you know, also Druid memories, et cetera, et cetera. But it's like your awarenesses, your antennae are you hear things, you feel things. The trees talk to you, the water talks to you, the bird has just left a feather, which is a message for you. Everything is communicating with you, and you are open to receiving it. And this usually means that this person has tremendous gifts for healing, like Fool's Crow. I'm revisiting a book with Fool's Crow about Fool's Crow, and he came in on the spirit plane a couple of years ago because he really liked me. He came home with me from an event because his name came up in conversation with somebody else and made me Google him on the internet and find out who he was because I really didn't know who he was, you know? So, yeah. I mean, we are living in multidimensional realms. This 3D world, it's so over, you know, just living in the 3D realms because our ancestors are around us all the time, and then when you are raised in the old ways, or maybe you're born with the gifts wide open and you have a grandmother who grew up in the old ways, they guide you, hopefully. They guide you. They help you work with your gifts. And the Kogi, who you probably are aware of, I imagine, in Colombia. Have you heard of the Kogi?
I have not.
No? Oh, okay.
I'll have to look that up.
They are a tribe. I think I'll say one tribe, but I think it's three of them. I've met them, but I can't say I've engaged that deeply with them. I know people who have. When the conquistadors came into Colombia, the country, that region, they were getting messages in the spirit plane that they needed to go way high up and basically seal themselves. So they didn't lose any of their old ways, their traditions. And their medicine people called mamos, when a young child is seen to be one of the gifted ones, because they can tell, they can see spiritually. They're brought into this dark, round building, which is, they make off the materials there on the mountain, and they're in the dark for 10 years. And they learn how to listen to Mother at a level that is incredible. I will not in any way compare myself to what they do. I have my role with Mother and how Mother came into me. But they're putting messages out to the world big time. There's a whole story behind that. But that's an example of a very pure culture. And actually, I'll share this. A BBC producer found out about them and didn't think they'd ever be interested in being interviewed. So he was in this, lower valleys in the city there in Colombia, and he asked 3 different people who said they had a connection with the Kogi. Would they be willing to be interviewed for a film? And he thought he'll never hear back from them. They're going to want to just stay up there and hide, And he got 3 messages back. Yes, yes, yes. Because they had a message for the world. And you can find that on YouTube. What is it called? Elder Brother's Message to the World. I think something like that. Look up Kogi, Kogi.
Do you recall what the message was?
Well, they consider themselves the elder brothers, and we're the younger brothers. And it's kind of what I said before about what Mother is asking us to do. We have to come back into alignment with Mother. We have to come back into harmony. What we're doing is wreaking havoc. And Mother keeps on telling me she will always recover. And I know this to be true, even if it takes hundreds of thousands of years, which it may, because there's been so much destruction and toxification, loss of species. She told me actually when I was writing the book with her, The Great Mother Bible, she said, species don't really go extinct and completely disappear. They shift off into the multidimensional planes. And I've learned more about that, the devas the beings in the spirit realm who hold the energetic blueprint of the species still exist within the Earth's multidimensional planes. But the actual physical species vibrates out.
So that's maybe a good transition point. Obviously, are you in Asheville? Is that where you're located?
I am about 35 minutes outside of Asheville over the mountain. We're in Old Fort, which is slightly east.
So tell us about what this experience has been like after Hurricane Helene.
Well, first of all, I want to state that we're very blessed where we live because we're not in the valley. We're up on a ridge. We lost electricity for a week and a half, if that. My sweetie and I evacuated to Maryland because I had work to do. He's retired. The trees, massive trees fell around our house, but this is nothing. It is nothing compared to what downtown Asheville along the river, Swannanoa, Marshall, Lake Lure, and Chimney Rock, these communities right on the river. And Asheville's not that small of a city. It's not huge. The rains, it was more intense than Katrina, I understand. The rains that came in and they just hit the mountains and hung over the mountains. And we had a rainstorm just before, just the day before, and then hurricane came in. And so I was actually driving out of Asheville the day before, caught in the rain, and thought I was going to have my car stall in the middle of the highway because the flood waters just from that rainstorm were going up. And that was before the hurricane really came in.
Mhm.
So right now, from everything I'm learning, and I talk to people and I read the Facebook posts, a lot of people still don't have homes. The homes are coming in, amazing amount of support from support groups and volunteers. Volunteers have come in from all over. There's a volunteer group here in my town, Old Fort, which got really hammered too. And we're about 4 miles out. We're not right in the center of Old Fort. There's a group that came in from Greenville to clean up and rebuild the water treatment plant. And they started in Banner Elk, which was hit really hard in the mountains, came down now to Old Fort. And I think they're still working there. And they're all volunteering. Nobody's paying them. I said, is anybody government? Is state? Oh, no, we're volunteers. We went through a bad flood in 2019 or something. I mean, I'm going to start crying,
Awesome.
talk to this man.
God bless him.
But yeah, one of the things, though, that's happening, and you may know about the event that mother asked me to organize. Is coming up on Friday, the 29th. I
Yes.
don't know when this goes live,
Well,
but
it's gonna be live
the
too late, unfortunately.
well, that's all
But
right, because you
yeah.
know what? The message is we can still pray whenever,
Yep.
But in the flood waters that came in and washed up along the banks, really high up, I don't know, 20 some feet above flood stage, all these toxins. I mean, one of my friends, and this is not in the media, one of my says that the nuclear waste, there were barrels, 250 barrels of nuclear waste that got washed into the river, along with all
wow.
these toxins from that industrial plant and that gas station and that big, huge oil tank. And so for people to clean their buildings, their homes that were flooded and filled with sludge and mud, they had to use, and they still are using, hazmat suits, because you don't want to breathe it. You don't want it touching your skin. Dogs have been dying. And the cadaver dogs,
Oh,
a
no.
friend of mine told me, because he's been talking to the rescue people who are still looking for the bodies. There's still bodies that haven't been found. And I don't know if they will find them, because they're probably way down deep in the sediment now of these rivers. The cadaver dogs are dying. People are getting sick. And so, these are known as forever chemicals, right? They're supposed to, according to the science, they last 1,000 years, I don't know, 800 years. But Masaru Emoto, who a lot of people know, who've been tracking for a number of decades the power of our thinking, Masaru Emoto, the Japanese researcher, did water's prayers with volunteers and witnessed, it was documented scientifically, how the toxicity of these toxic ponds shifted and really diminished after their prayers. And
no
there's
doubt
all
about
this
it.
research on the power of prayer. I mean,
No
I
doubt
teach
about it.
a year-long course. Yeah. So anyway, so I'm in the bathtub, which is where I love to do ceremony. Honestly, I pour sacred water in my bathtub. I have water from over 1,500 places around the world, and I put some lavender oil and I call in my spirit teams, and I'm lying in the bathtub. And that's actually how Mary Magdalene came to me in 2020. I was in the bathtub. It's like, but the middle of November, I just come back from a retreat on the coast, and literally the next morning I'm, travel weary, 10-hour drive from Cape Hatteras. It was beautiful there. Lots of magical things happened there. But I'm in the bathtub, and mother's like, she comes in, I want you to organize this event. And it's about healing the waters, healing the toxicity, asking the toxins to transmute. And so I actually tuned in on the spirit plane while I'm talking to mother, and I'm connecting with the consciousness of the toxins, because you can do that, not everyone can do it right away, but I mean, this is the kind of thing that, I mean, I'm a shaman, basically. And I heard this message back. Yes, we would be very willing to transmute, because they're not having a happy existence. These are poisonous man-made chemicals that are kind of, but they have a consciousness. They're like, yeah, we would like to be transmuted, or, love us up, basically. And so I'm like, cool. All right. So I have been like focused. I came up at 4 a.m, organizing this, doing videos. People are coming up. It's going viral around the world. It's going viral in the region. I'm known for organizing global grids of ceremonies, because I've been organizing the 1,000 Goddesses Gathering global grid since 2016. And the call is to focus your love and your prayers on this region and the waters here and the soils here, which have the toxins adhered to them, and love them up and pray that all the toxins receive such beautiful energy that they transmute into source energy. And we're going to
That's
do it.
awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for what you're doing. And I do, yes, I do want to attend your event on Friday. So we could talk about that after the show, but
Well,
I
you
think
know
it's
what?
fantastic what you're doing.
But attending means doing it wherever you are at a local
Yeah.
waterway.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm
Even
not doing
better.
anything online. Yeah.
So everyone just, you're going to get this, you're going to see this after the event's over, but it doesn't, as Mare said, it doesn't
That's
matter. You can
okay.
still pray for the toxins in
Yes.
the North Carolina, South Carolina, Appalachia region that were brought
Or
forward by
pray,
hurricane to be transmuted.
pray for the toxins in your waterways. You know, get a group of friends
Now, are you
and
getting,
take.
no, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say there's power in numbers, especially with prayer. And, you know, I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, Mother has a plan. I live by this credo. Mother is a plan. Another credo is life's an adventure. And she just gives me the breadcrumbs, you know? So I don't know what's going to happen after this event, other than I've been feeling it's like, it's going to get big. You know, all of a sudden my life is going to go, wing, which I'm ready for, honestly, because Mother's like, it's time now, you know? Wake up, people. Come home to
Thank
me.
you again. I think this is maybe a great spot to wrap. I think, thank you so much for what you're doing and what you do. Are you getting any help? I mean, are the people, your neighbors in your communities, are you getting any help from FEMA? I mean, does that exist
Oh,
anymore? Or is that,
yes. Yeah. No. That's a terrible rumor that FEMA hasn't been around. FEMA is here.
okay,
FEMA
good.
is a government agency. We have to understand
But
that.
you have
I mean, my
volunteers happening on
sweetie,
top of that.
we have volunteers from all sorts of different groups, churches and schools, but FEMA is really definitely here, and their money is not completely exhausted. We filed a form with FEMA. We're waiting to hear from our insurance company. Yes, FEMA's here. You
Good.
know, it's just that, frankly, this hurricane was so huge and it was so hard to get into some of those mountain areas that everybody's on board. And that's the thing, is
Yeah.
that the community spirit here is really beautiful.
Off the charts. I've heard that too from some friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Mare,
Beautiful.
thank you so much for your time and everything that you're doing and the positivity and hope that you're bringing. I'd love to stay in touch with you if you want to hang on here after we
Please.
stop
Can
the
I
recording.
say one more thing, though?
Yeah, please do.
I have to say this because Mother's saying you need to stop being shy. The Great Mother Loveway is a nonprofit. And, you know, if anybody is inspired by this, just Google Great Mother Loveway and any donations. She keeps on telling me that there's a big patron or matron coming in. I'm like, cool, bring them on, you know, because I live very simply. I had to say that.
No, thank you for that. And thank you so much again for being you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for joining. Hello, this episode is brought to you by Morrison Alley. Morrison Alley provides consulting focused around strategy, leadership, and team development, as well as AI implementations to streamline effectiveness or marketing solutions or app development, and then leadership development from our Fire and Rain leadership development team, focused on executive leadership experiences and experiential learning. Check it out, morrisonalley.com. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Ashley on Nothing But the Truth for a Better You and Me.